This video is going to cover how to create a year-end bonus or Christmas bonus check for your employee using a net gross calculator. The rules for a bonus check, it's still a payroll check, and so it's subject to the taxes for Social Security and Medicare. And so for creating a net check of, say, like $100 as a bonus, you will have to calculate what the gross would be so that you can calculate the Social Security and Medicare. So I'm going to run through that process, and what we'll be using is the spreadsheet that is available that you can use for any payroll program, but we'll be demonstrating for the use in the with using this net to gross spreadsheet calculator. You can download this file for free, but what it is, once you've opened it up in Excel, you have what these are the default amounts you'll have, but let's say you wanted to give somebody a $300 bonus. You can come in here and you can just type in 300 and it'll recalculate so that the gross amount should be 324. So you can plug in any number you want. It'll recalculate what the Social Security and Medicare would be for both the employer and the employee and the employer. So using those numbers, I'm going to calculate sample payroll in the People's Choice program. So what you would do is you would go in to run a payroll. You would click Next Pay Run. You would go ahead and change the dates to whatever date. Typically, I'm just doing it like it's a Christmas bonus or a holiday bonus and doing it on Christmas Eve, but it can be any date. Usually want all the dates to be the same. And so you'll override that automatic weekly. Now, in terms of what you'll want to do is typically your system is set to include your weekly payroll, but you'll want to go in here and you'll want to exclude that and use this and click include, so this is yes. And then you would go into, and if you have deductions, you'll want to go in and say, I don't want to include the deductions or benefits in this payroll. And if you have direct deposit set up for an employee, you'll probably want to check the box to do not create a direct deposit. The bonus check, they like to just hand a paper check that is their bonus. But that's up to you and how this is handled. But if you make those check marks, then you would go to process, click here, go into enter in pay data, and you'll see that we have 4 examples where we're just using the regular pay types in that most people are using for their weekly, hourly, and salary payroll. But you can set up a bonus pay type and change this to a bonus, but we're just going to use the default pay type that you'll be using anyway. But instead of putting in 40 hours or whatever, you just put in a quantity of 1. And we'll want to change this to a 0 as well. Oops. And I've got the 1,082.84 gross that the spreadsheet calculated for a $1,000 bonus, 108.28 for a $100 net bonus, and $270.71 for a $250 bonus, and $541 for a $500 bonus. So those are the amounts that you would put in the wage override. And so when you've done that, you would go ahead and click calculate. It's just telling you you've excluded those deductions and benefits you normally do, and it will go ahead and create the checks. Now it is going to create, besides the Social Security and Medicare, it's also going to create the withholding for your taxes. And for the small amount of tax, usually most employers will just not withhold the federal or state taxes. So what you'll want to do is go into edit results, and for each employee you would go to the taxes, and we just zero out all the taxes except for Medicare and Social Security, and you can see up here that this is $1,000. So then you would go to the other employee and zero out all the taxes except Social Security so that it nets out to $100. And then same with the Now this one we haven't edited out, but it calculated the taxes. So what you do is go in here and set this to 0, set this to 0, set this to 0. Any taxes that are just state, federal, or local taxes, you would 0 out and just have the Medicare and Social Security, so you can see it nets out to $250. And then for the $500, 541, yeah, we'd come here and we would 0 out this, 0 out this, and 0 out this. Now, if it's larger than $1,000, you know, if you're in a situation where you're given like a $10,000 bonus, then you might want to reevaluate with your tax accountant that you want to cover some of the withholding on there. Otherwise, but the difference for a $100 to $1,000 over the course of a year will not affect the under withholding or over withholding to a great degree. So that's how you go ahead and calculate that. And then one of the options you might want to do is go in here and you can say Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays or whatever, or you did a great job this year. If it's not a Christmas bonus but just a year-end bonus, you can put a note on there, and this will show up on the pay stub of the check. And so then you would go ahead at this point and create the checks. And well, I had it set to not do direct deposit, so even though it came up with direct deposit, it should have just created those checks. You could still run the report and do a calc report like you normally do in your People's Choice payroll, but you can just see that each of these net checks come to the amounts that we calculated in our example. And you can look when you're done what the total amount would be, and you go ahead and print the checks. And then for next pay run, what you probably want to go ahead and do right now before you forget is, after you've created these checks, go back here and say exclude, and go back to here to say include, so you're ready for the next pay run. And then you'll be warned, but you'll want to go back in here and unselect the benefits deductions and to turn back on the direct deposit. So when you click next pay run, you'll need to reset your dates for whether it's weekly or bi-weekly payroll, and then you'll be back to where you enter in the pay data will be the same hourly calculations from your previous hourly or salary payroll. So that's how you create a Christmas bonus or a year-end bonus check in the People's Choice Accounting Payroll using the gross to or net to gross calculator spreadsheet to determine what the gross pay should be for a net check that's an even amount.